Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Gurok here, your casual gaming dad coming at you early in the day while the baby is napping. I do quotes because it's not really a nap, she's just asleep in her swing. But with what will be the, I guess technically second, but I'm going to say the first official World of Warcraft coverage video that I will be doing in the few weeks to come. And we're starting off with the soft review of the game's most recent expansion, Dragonflight. It's their 9th expansion? Yeah, the 9th expansion after almost, what, 19 years, 18, 19 years of service. They've come out with a 9th expansion. And it is this expansion that has brought me back to the game after the absolute shit show that was Shadowlands. And we're not even going to touch on the personal, unprofessional business practices of the company because that's a whole other video, a whole other story. Nevertheless, I wanted to have some actual like gameplay footage in the background besides just me just AFKing in front of a crafting table, but unfortunately the footage that I did record got all like garbly. And say hello to my cat Zoe. Obviously this is not pre-recorded and this is not scripted, so it's gonna be fun. But I say this is a soft review for Dragonflight for now. And the reason is because I'm not going to make the same mistake that I did with Shadowlands. If you guys remember way back when Shadowlands came out, I did a 1 to, what was it, 50 leveling journey? Whatever it was, or 1 to 40 leveling journey? I don't know, whatever the cap was. That NPC just kind of melded into the table. That's nice. Blizz, fix your bugs, man. The fuck. Anyway, yeah, it was a shit show. I gave it 2 thumbs up. I said this is great. I did a leveling journey, and then I did a whatever level was the cap in pre-patch up to the new cap in Shadowlands on my warrior, and I was like, hey, this expansion's awesome, it's fun, 2 thumbs up, right? And then like literally probably about a month later it turned into a giant shitstorm. The story was awful. They ruined the story, they ruined the lore, they ruined the characters. They came out with all this random retconned bullshit, and the borrowed power systems and unfriendliness to alts and casual play was just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and it was just fucking awful. And I don't ever want to go back to that because it was just gross. It was god awful. And I had already done my review, so I couldn't really take it back and be like, you know, oh, hey, you know, I made a mistake, guys, my bad. Because it wouldn't make sense because I quit the game anyway. So here we are. Dragonflight has come out. They made a ton of promises when Shadowlands kind of went belly up. And they had some big things that they had to fill. They had some big promises, some big guarantees they had to make sure they took care of. And I'm happy to say that for the most part, and obviously not every single one was met, but for the most part they cleaned it up. They have cleaned it up. So in this video, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to touch on the things that I enjoy, the pros, the things that I do not enjoy, the cons, and I will mention, I won't go too in-depth on either of those two, only because I'll make those separate videos, and that's why I mean there's going to be like a series of WoW videos. So for instance, we're just going to dive right into the big elephant in the room, and the biggest question that most people are going to have is how is the story and how is the leveling journey? Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, vanilla WoW, I enjoyed the leveling journey because it was the experience, it was the journey, right? I mean, it took forever, but I mean, back then, everyone, you know, most of us had the time and all that stuff. The Burning Crusades was kind of, it was just business as usual. Wrath of the Lich King, it was just business as usual. And then I did not have fun leveling a character ever again, even if it was just for like 5 or 10 levels to hit the new max. I hated the chore of leveling because that's what it was. It was a chore. It wasn't fun, it wasn't intuitive, it was boring. It was the same, go kill X number of Y, go gather Z number of A, and then like you have to kill 20 things just to get 1 out of like 30. It was just sucked. It sucked all the way up until Legion. And then Legion, for some reason, I don't know what it was about Legion, but Legion made leveling and playing the game fun again. And then Legion, which was a masterpiece, turned into BFA. And then BFA turned into Shadowlands. So you can see it was like Vanilla, TBC, Wrath of Lich King, Cataclysm, Mop, WoD, Legion, BFA, Shadowlands, and now we're coming up for Dragonflight. So the leveling journey in Dragonflight is actually really fun. If you were leveling a fresh character from level 1, or if you're an allied race from 10 up to 50, which was the previous cap, then you're going to have a fun time. It's relatively quick. It is easy. Even without heirlooms, you can just blast through everything real quick, which, by the way, heirlooms, they no longer just boost the experience that you get. They just kind of make your rested experience last longer, which is kind of, but they're still really good to use, especially if you've upgraded them. I don't know why my screen's shaking, but whatever. Oh, you probably hear the game sound. You know what I should do? I should shut that off, huh? Because it's probably dragons roaring and people making noise. Gods, I'm sorry about that, guys. There we go. Alright, let's hide that UI. My bad. I forgot to do that. So unprofessional. But nevertheless, the leveling journey is fun. The leveling journey from 50 to, what level am I? 70? Oh, I'm sorry, 60 to 70. So I had that all backwards. From 60 to 70 in the Dragon Isles is very quick. Like, you literally could either just strictly follow the main story, like the MSQ, all the way from 60 to 70. You can do side quests and bonus objectives, and you can literally, if you really wanted to, you could go from 60 to 70 just in the very first zone, the Waking Shores, and then proceed to do the rest of it all on your own, in your own time, at your own pace, if that's what you wanted to do. It's very quick, it's very easy, and I like that, because it means that for your main, you can get to the meat and potatoes of the game, which we all know in WoW. It's no longer about the leveling journey, it's about the end game. It's about getting there, it's running the dungeons, doing the mythics, doing the raids, doing the PvP. For alts, it's even better, because it means you don't have to spend weeks leveling an alt. You can just spend a day or two, and boop, up your alt's already up there, and now you're ready to catch up again. And it's great, it's fantastic, and it's very fun. And I do want to say that the part of the reason why the leveling journey is so fun is because of some of the new features that they introduced, the main one being Dragonflight, or Dragon Flying, because the name of the expansion is Dragonflight, but Dragon Flying is one of the best things, because you get it like within like 30 minutes of hitting the Waking Shores. And yeah, there's a bit of a learning curve to master it, and you do have like a skill tree, but I'll talk more about that as I go. But it makes leveling fun, because you can get around quick, you feel free, you're all over the place, you're up, you're down, you're left, right, you're high, you're low. It makes the zone layout not feel like, ugh, this sucks to traverse, and I know I'm not going to be able to actually make use of this terrain fully until I'm max level and I've done the whole, whatever the fuck it was, achievement, Pathfinder, I think. For like 50 million expansions, they were like, well, flying is now locked behind achievements. I'm like, cool, great move, Blizz. Yeah, that was real smart. Fucking dicks. You can tell I didn't like that feature at all. I thought it was stupid, and I still think it's stupid. And I'm very glad they didn't do that here, because it made it fun. Now, as far as the story goes, I'm not gonna lie, guys. This isn't Final Fantasy XIV. I do not play World of Warcraft for the story necessarily. I do care about it. I care about the story enough that you don't mess with the core lore and its characters, like they did in Shadowlands, where they fucked with everything and retconned a bunch of stuff. You don't mess with that. Now, I don't pay that close attention to the actual storyline, but I like to know what the overarching thing is. And basically, spoiler alert, for those of you who do care about the story, stop the video here or skip ahead about, I'd say, 2 minutes, right? Because I'll spend 2 minutes talking about this. Spoiler alert. This is your last warning. Okay. basically, the overarching story is the Dragon Isles have reappeared after however many bajillions of years. Some ancient evil, always there's an ancient evil, has been awoken and freed from their prison. They're like primal Proto-Drakes that did not accept the gift of the Titans and become part of the Dragonflight. So now it's basically a war between the Dragon aspects who have come home to the Dragon Isles and these primal Proto-Drakes who are trying to reclaim their rightful place in the Dragon Isles as the real rulers. And basically you have to help Alexstrasza, Kalecgos, Raytheon, all of them restore power to these obelisks, and that will restore their powers as the dragon aspects and allow them to reclaim their gifts from the Titans and fight these primal Proto-Drakes, which comes to a head at the end of the current raid tier, which I don't know the end because I only LFR raid, so I won't know for like at least another week maybe, if I've got my timing right. So unless I want to watch it on YouTube, which I won't. Okay, so end spoiler alert, because the main leveling journey story is just you going from that point A that I started with to point B, the finish. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty because I kind of just skipped over most of it and just yeah, whatever. But I will say that we only so far have been dealing with the dragon aspects, the Dragonflight, their big bad enemies, and Khadgar, of course, because I mean you can't have a WoW expansion without Khadgar. My man's everywhere. But aside from Khadgar, we do not see, hear, or even interact with anybody else. We don't see Jaina, we don't see Anduin, we don't see Gen, Thrall, not Vol'jin. Who's the new troll leader? God, that's awful. We don't hear or see anything from Bane, Kalia, nothing. We hear nothing from nobody. Now, I know there's some side quests that do involve, like, Tyrande, Malfurion, etc., but I have not done those yet, so I can't really say what that entails. I just know that they exist. And I am going to say that it's been refreshing, because, honestly, it's been a while since we've interacted with the Dragonflight, mostly since Cataclysm, and, it's been nice where they haven't been trying to like squeeze in all of these other characters that we know and like make them important to the story, because they've had their time in the limelight. It's time to move on until the next big thing, right? You know what I mean? So it's been refreshing. The story is okay. It hasn't rustled my jimmies yet. That doesn't mean that it's not gonna. It doesn't mean there's still opportunity for them to mess it up like they did in Shadowlands, but for now, it's good. For now, it's good. And for now, the leveling journey is amazing, and I love it. On to the next point. Another big point that I enjoy is there is no borrowed power system. As far as I'm aware, there are no legendaries, so there's no grinding out legendaries. There's no hoping RNG blesses you with the right roll drop to give you a legendary piece like in Legion. There's no like, if you don't have this specific legendary or these two specific legendaries, oh, you're nerfed. You might as well just not play. And there's no grinding anything. Now there is a renown system. If I turn on my UI, come here, you can see there is renown, basically reputation. You've got your 4 factions here. But if you look at the track, like they even show you, oops, I didn't want to do that. I want these guys. But you can see here, you know, just like in Shadowlands with the renown, you can track it and you can see what you're gonna get. But if you look here, you literally see there's nothing game breaking about it. It's not like back in Shadowlands where if you missed a week where you didn't cap out your renown, because there's no cap, you can just keep on grinding renown over and over and over again until you just run out of things to give you rep, or you hit max, which I think max is what, 30? I don't even know if you can hit 30 yet, but yeah, like there's no weekly cap like there was in Shadowlands. So it's not like, oh, you missed your renown cap this week, you're behind. You're behind. And there's no power gain from renown. Like sure, there's where is it? Felt Dragon equipment, so you can get, it's just like the old rep grinds, right? Where you were able to obtain like an epic piece of gear for getting this certain rank of reputation, right? Every one of these reputations has basically 1 or 2 pieces of gear you can get based on your renown level, but it's nothing game breaking. It's not like you needed the armor set like you did back in Shadowlands to be relevant for the first raid tier, and then from there you get tier gear. Well, I'm sorry, there was no tier gear in Shadowlands until the end because, you know, tier gear was obsolete, right? The more I talk about Shadowlands, the more angry I get. But there's no borrowed power from this. It's all cosmetics, or like, you know, you hit rank 10, right? Is it rank 10? Yeah, you get this like this buff where all of your alts get 100% reputation gain with these factions up to that rank 10, and then you get it again at rank 20. Like, it's just cosmetic stuff. There's like 1 or 2 factions that may have a recipe for you. Like, you can see at 14 I got blacksmithing. It gave me a couple plans for my blacksmithing, but nothing game breaking, nothing that's gonna make or break your experience. If you don't get a ton of rep for a certain faction this week, you're not missing out on anything. You're not going to be behind the curve. You're not going to be kicked out of or not accepted on Mythic Plus invites because you're not renowned like 25 with Valdrakken Accord. Like, no one's caring about that because it's not a thing. It doesn't matter. It's strictly just for these cosmetics and like a couple extra items here and there, and it's great. It relieves a lot of pressure from players like me who play relatively casually, and just in general, like, maybe you super hardcore players don't like that fact and you want something for you guys, but you guys already got enough, to be completely honest. It's time to give a little something to us, and this was great. And that is a big pro for me. That's one of the things I wasn't going to make a separate video for, so I went a little more into detail. I'm going to move on to the next feature that I believe is a big pro, and that is, of course, I mentioned it before, dragon flying. So very shortly after you enter the Dragonlands, the Dragon Isles, you gain access to this mount here, the renewed Proto-Drake, and this is your first dragon flying mount, and it's different from regular flying. I won't go too in depth on the system, but you can see when I summon him. Well, this is a different one, of course, and I've customized him, but you can see you've got a bunch of different skills. You have this vigor bar here. Every one of these costs vigor. There's ways to spend it, there's ways to recharge it. And something you learn very quickly is here, dragon riding, you have skills. You basically have a talent tree for your dragon riding, and each one costs a specific amount of glyphs. And as soon as you unlock dragon riding, you can just go across the entire Dragon Isles and get all of these glyphs if you want. So you can fully unlock this. I won't go in depth. I won't explain what each and every one does. I'll do that in a separate video. But I will say one of the biggest perks of this is when you unlock dragon riding in full on your main character, it is unlocked in full for every fucking alt you make. Every alt. Doesn't matter what faction. Doesn't matter. You could be a horde main like I am, and then go to an alliance alt. Fully unlocked. Is beautiful. It is a beautiful system. Again, I won't waste too much time on it. It's a big pro. It makes leveling fun, fast, and easy. And I will go more in depth on this, I promise, and I'll explain more why it's a pro in a separate video, because it'll take me some time to really go into it, and I don't want this to turn into like a 50-minute video. The next pro that I want to talk about, which will also be something that I don't go too far in depth on, but it is something that I enjoy, so I will make a separate video for it, is the new crafting system. So if you go to your professions tab, as soon as you learn the Dragon Isles, whatever, so you're going to notice you get this whole new UI here. I was looking at crafting orders to see if there's anything here. But you can see this whole brand new UI. You've got like crafters equipment, okay, you've got different tier qualities of materials and things that you can do. You got different stats, each one does something different with percent chances, there's procs. And I gotta say, like, honestly, it's very involved and not the same as Final Fantasy XIV's crafting system, but it's similar enough that I enjoyed it. And the best part about it, and this is a huge reason why it's a pro in my list is because the way the crafted gear works, you can consistently upgrade it as you go along and get better upgrade components and better grade materials. So eventually your like eye level 384 weapon that you craft at like baseline with just whatever materials, you get a whole host of better materials. There's a system where you can recraft it for a lesser amount of materials but of better quality and boost that 384 up to similar eye level to heroic rating. Like I think it's like 4 something, like let me see, raids, heroic gear, let's see, it was like 402. Yeah, I think it's like 402 you can get up to, so you're on par with heroic raid gear just from crafting. And if they continue this system and continue to provide us better grade quality materials, I'm sorry if you can hear my washer and dryer in the background. I'm like right outside the laundry room but it's very loud. I will say that this will be a great system that I hope they continue to develop and continue to bring into further expansions, because it will mean that for people who don't raid anything bigger than LFR and don't really do mythic pluses higher than like I just don't do mythic plus, like I might do mythic zeros, but then beyond that it's just too, like I've joined a couple communities that are very relaxed and they're geared towards new players learning mythic and mythic plus and just finding chill groups to do it that aren't toxic, that aren't like, oh my god, your raider IO score says you're only like rank 1200, blah, I only accept rank 5 billion, nah. Like, okay, fucking go pound it up your ass, alright? I ain't got time for your shit. I'm too old, I'm too tired. Go take your 12-year-old temper tantrum and toxicity and go find a likewise group and go fuck around with them. Don't mess with me, man. Get out of here. So the crafting system, if it continues like this, big thumbs up, and I will go more in depth on how the new crafting system works and explain more in depth why it's a pro for me in a separate video. So that's 2 separate videos already. I'm trying to think. I feel like there was one more pro that I really wanted to list off to you guys. I can't really think of it, but I'm sure if it comes to me, I'll mention it in a different video, or I'll make a separate video for that feature itself. Oh, that's right. This was something that technically was in the pre-patch, but I didn't play during pre-patch. So for me, this is new, and that is this. The new, quote-unquote, or I should say returned, talent system. So when you hit level 10, just like it's been for decades now, I think since Cataclysm is when they introduced this kind of thing, you get to pick your specialization. So obviously I'm Fury. And then you get your talents. Now, it used to be back in Vanilla, the Burning Crusade, and Wrath of the Lich King, we had big old talent trees. Like, I'm talking big old, like, let me see if I can find hold on, I'm gonna see if I can find it and put it on the screen here. Tools, talent calculator, here we go. So as of Wrath of the Lich King, okay, I'm sure you guys can see that this is what our talent trees looked like. Okay, this is for a warrior. This is what we had. You had 71 points to put wherever the fuck you wanted. So like as a Fury warrior, technically I'd be like, oh, okay, I want let's see, obviously we want cruelty. We'll take unbridled wrath. We'll take let's see, increased melee attack power, yes. Enrage, yeah. Dual wield spec, yeah. Precision because hit chance is a thing. Flurry, death, bloodthirst. Improve Zerker stance because it's awesome. Reduce the cooldown of blood rage, berserker rage, wreck, yup. Improved intercept because, you know, less cooldowns. Don't be fooled by Rampage. This version of Rampage is awful. And it is just terrible. It's just awful. It's gross. It's just a buff. that puts a little dinghy over your head, and it just increases. Yeah, but you take it because it's damage. Unending Fury, of course, and then TG, because that was the big dick thing, right? So you still have 19 points left, so you'd be like, well, improved Heroic Strike, yes, and then I guess 2 parry, and then where was it? Iron Will? No, you'd take Iron Will if you were PvPing. You retain up to 5, yep, because Stance Dancing, and then improved Charge. Generate 1 rage per 3 seconds. Critical strike ban, yep. Deep wounds, yep. And then technically, I want to say 2-hand spec was the way to go. Yep. Because Titan's Grip. There you go. That was your Fury spec, and this is what you would do. You would customize all the way down. You would find different ways to make it work. Get rid of that. Survival Hunter. Yeah, I was looking up Survival Hunter stuff. But this is what they look like now, because eventually it turned into those like 6 rows of talents where you'd pick one and then move down to the next row and pick one, and it just didn't give us much customization, many options. Right, and it was nice. It worked, but it could have been better. It could have been a lot better. So for Dragonflight, they went ahead and did this. They kind of gave us a combination of the two. They gave us, you pick your specialization, and then they're bringing in talent trees. And you can see every class is like this. You have your generic class tree, and then you have your spec-specific tree, and you get a certain amount of points for each one. And you just pick your build, man. Like, you could see, like, if I wanted to, I could come out of Spirit Bastion and go under Thunderous Roar, which was Dragon Roar previously. Now it's Thunderous Roar. You can customize however you want. I won't go too in depth. I'm not going to make a separate video about this, but that is a big pro of mine. So far, Dragonflight is great. It's good. It's getting the big 2 thumbs up, and it still will. But I've got a couple cons I'd like to go over real quick before I close out this video. And because I also kind of hear my baby waking up, so I gotta make this quick. So, cons. There's a few cons here. Dragonflight is good, but it ain't perfect. World quests are kind of a con. And the reason why I say that is because they're okay, but their rewards are meh. Their rewards are big meh. Most often the gear you get from them is kind of meh. So if you're trying to gear up through world quests, sorry man, good luck. The rewards are also relatively kind of lackluster. And one of the biggest things I don't like, and this could just be a UI thing, but if you are in like Valdrakken, you'll see I'm not in war mode. Not on this character anyway. And you can see I can see extermination, exterminate pests or kill players, right? Or I come here, kill Tarolak, right? Which, you know, you can tell it's got the little cross swords, right? It's got the little cross sword symbol. You know what that means? That means it is a PvP, world PvP, world quest. And you might be like, oh, I want to go do that. And then you leave. And then it disappears off your map. Like, why are you going to display it in the main city and then take it away? Like, what if I don't want to participate in world PvP, but you gave a PvE option, like kill pests or players? What if I just want to kill the pests and get the reward for it so I can gear up for PvP? Sorry, bro. No. You want some versatility gear for PvP? Go PvP. It's okay. It is what it is. I get it. It's a minor grievance, but I just wish some of the stuff rewarded you more, or rewarded you with some better stuff for taking the time to do the world quests, because then otherwise you're just like, I'm just doing it for the renown. Nah. Another con is loot. Gods, I don't understand what your problem with giving players loot is, Blizz. I understand that this is a tactic to try and keep players coming back for more, but your loot system sucks. Just full stop. Now, they have separated PvE and PvP gear. Finally. They have finally done it. So if you're a mainstay PvPer, you can get your PvP gear and you don't have to worry about players coming in with PvE gear and crushing you because, oh, I've got this OPP. Like, basically PvE gear in PvP is now useless, and PvP gear is now useless in PvE. So there's no mixing and matching. There's no PvE casuals going into BGs to get like their best in slot, whatever. It's not happening. It is separation, and it works, and it's good. So that's a big pro, okay? But the downside is the rest of your looting system fucking blows dick. Like, okay, gearing up in PvP is great. You can level up by doing random battlegrounds. And by the time you're max level, you'll have enough honor to get a full set of PvP gear, and then you just hit the ground running, and it's great. For us PvEers, it's not that simple, okay? Yes, we have the new crafting system that I said is a big plus. Yeah, we have world quests, which are meh. But then you got dungeons, and heroics, and mythics, right? And then, of course, the world boss. Now, the world bosses are always worth doing, because if you look here, we go back to raids, we go Dragon Isles, like, they drop eye level 389 gear right now, but the next round of world bosses, when there's another tier of raid, will have higher eye level stuff. The stuff that is worth getting. I've killed all 4 of these motherfuckers. Every week I kill the world boss on 2 characters, because I have this character and then I have my enhancement shaman. I have not gotten a single piece of fucking gear. I went leveling, I went through and I did every dungeon just so I could kind of learn them, sort of. Got 0 gear from each one. I rarely get gear from dungeons because personal loot just says, Matt, you get gold. Here you go, congratulations. I think that sucks, and that's stupid. You should not have to run the same dungeon or multiple dungeons over and over and over and over and over and over and over to get 1 piece of gear. So if you spend 2 to 3 days running the same dungeon 3 to 4 times and you only get 1 piece of gear, what's the fucking return on that? Like, why? This is where Final Fantasy XIV comes ahead of you, Blizz. Like, FF14 might be like, listen, you ran this whole dungeon, it took you 20 minutes, nothing that you could use dropped, but at the end of this dungeon, you are going to get a piece of gear from the set that's available in this dungeon that you don't currently have in your inventory. It may not be a piece you want, it may not be a piece you need, but you're going to get it. So eventually, as a failsafe, you run the dungeon enough times, you'll get the whole damn set, so you'll eventually get what you need. It's genius. You get rewarded for playing. You don't get rewarded for doing dungeons and getting nothing. Oh, you get gold. You can fucking get gold doing anything. You can get gold just by AFKing on a mailbox naked and fucking just doing slash dance. There you go. Some nerd over there is going to give you like 100 G's. Congratulations, you just came ahead. Like, come on. Fix your loot. And then even worse, or I guess better, this is a pro/con, is in raids. This includes LFR. So LFR, normal, heroic, and mythic. Raiding only, not dungeons, only raids. They brought back the role system, the need versus greed. They took away personal loot, and they brought back need versus greed. However, there's no master loot option. So you can't master loot. So what happens is you got these people, and as long as it's something that your spec and your class can use, you can roll need on it. Otherwise you have to greed or pass. So what happens is, obviously, guilds that are running things between normal and mythic, you have a system set up. And you might even be using something like DKP or Karma and just be like, okay, like, only roll need if you're going to spend like DKP on it, or if you can use it, or this is going to go to so and so, whatever. Worst case scenario, the guild lead just needs everything, gets it, and then he distributes the loot, because you can trade loot through the raid, right? That sort of thing. But when it comes to LFR, and now I don't care so much about this, honestly, personally myself, because I'm like, I'm never gonna do anything higher than LFR, or maybe Mythic plus 1 or 2. So I don't need ridiculous amounts of gear. I just need enough to be relevant, right? And that being said, it is sort of annoying when someone who comes into a raid with like eye level like 400 plus gear comes into LFR and just need rolls on everything that he can need roll for the transmog. Like, bro, come on, save your transmog runs, for like when you're doing it with friends and shit, or like save it for like a couple months after release when there's not that many people who are gearing up. They're just doing it for the vault or whatever. Like seriously, like have a little consideration. But you know what, no one in World of Warcraft has any consideration. They don't fucking care. No one cares about anyone but themselves. That's just life, you know. But it's a con. You gotta fix your system, Blizz. You gotta fix it. It sucks on all ends. It's just stupid. It fucking blows spending like 20 to 60 minutes doing a dungeon or a raid and get nothing. Literally nothing. Nada. Just a fucking repair bill. It's stupid. You should get something for your fucking effort. Period. This is non-negotiable. And don't even start like saying, well, you've got the vault every week, because that's stupid. It's bullshit. There needs to be something, okay? Because otherwise people are just wasting time and they're gonna get sick of it. I'm gonna wrap this up real quick, I promise. There's a couple more cons I really want to touch on. One of them being class imbalance. This is a thing. This has always been a thing. Vanilla is heralded as the golden age of World of Warcraft for many reasons. One of them being they almost kind of shared the same philosophy that, bro, come on. They shared kind of the same philosophy that Yoshi P and his dev team share for Final Fantasy XIV. Don't nerf a class that's overperforming. Bring the ones underperforming up to match the one that's overperforming. They started off doing that. And then just before TBC hit, they started slapping everything with a nerf bat. Nerf bat, nerf bat, nerf bat, nerf bat, nerf this, nerf that, nerf this, nerf that. And now what's happening is you got all kinds of fucking imbalance. And a lot of it derives from the fact that the devs who write the code for everything are either clueless or too goddamn lazy to separate the whole map of skills for every class and every spec. They don't want to do separates. They don't want to do one for PvE and one for PvP. They do it with some skills, and if you'll notice, they're all like the newer skills, right? But all the old legacy skills that have been around since like vanilla or TBC, they don't touch. They don't ever have anything, well, it does this in PvE, but in PvP it does this. And it's creating a ton of imbalance in the PvP field. And though I don't PvP as seriously or as much as I used to, it is still it's still gross. It still sucks when you're like, yeah, I'm pretty well geared out, I have enchants, and I'm gonna go in and I play my role perfectly. I manage my mobility and my CCs and my lockdowns, and I do, you know, I time my burst perfectly. And then this demon hunter just like rolls his face on 3 keys and he does like 250 million damage just because LOL demon hunters, right? Like, what the fuck? Like, fix that shit. But they won't. Because they'll be like, well, if we nerf it in PvP, it'll be nerfed in PvE. It's like, well, they won't if you just separate them, man. You gotta get better at balancing classes, dudes. Seriously, that's a huge con. It really blows. I don't mind some being better than others. There's always got to be someone who's better and someone who's not that great. But you can't just, like, leave a handful of classes and specs at the bottom of the barrel and, like, not address that. And instead take, like, for instance, Shadow Priests and Assassination Rogues. They're already doing pretty good, especially in PvP. And then they're like, let's give them a bunch of new stuff and boost their damage even more because they need it in PvE. And it's like, whoa. Stop. Slow down. Whoa. You're going to break them in PvP. Oh, well, it's just PvP. It's an uphill battle. It'll never change, but I can still gripe about it, right? Right? So I do have a handful of others, pros and cons. I'm sure that will come to me, but right now it's just kind of escaping my brain. But I'm going to wrap this video up because I've yammered at you guys long enough. My overall impression, World of Warcraft Dragonflight right now is good. It's pretty good. For now, I'm giving it the 2 thumbs up. We'll check back in after a couple of patches in about a month or 2, and we'll see where things stand. And I'll update you guys. In the meantime, some of those pros that I mentioned before, such as dragonflying and the crafting professions, I'm going to go more in depth into, like way in depth, and I'm going to make separate videos for them and fully explain why I feel like they're pros, not just the overarching reason. And then I think I might do a couple like gameplay videos. I was thinking about doing a leveling journey on a few different types. They're all probably going to be warriors, unfortunately. But I thought about like, well, what if I level one, you know, level an alt through PvP only? And then what if I level an alt through, you know, like make a warrior? I haven't prot tanked since Wrath of the Lich King. I think it'd be pretty fun to level a warrior as prot, just running dungeons and just see like which one's faster. How does it go? Like if you're only doing questing here and there, is it still really quick or is it slow as balls? Like, you know, weigh us up a couple options. See has anything changed? I don't know. If you guys got any ideas of what you would like to see as far as World of Warcraft content goes, leave it in the comment section down below. Any thoughts, questions, or concerns you wanna pitch towards me? Same thing, comment section. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. I'm gonna head out now. Dragonflight's pretty good. It's keeping me hooked for now. We'll see what happens Tuesday though, because patch 6.3 drops for Final Fantasy 14. So gotta cover that, right? That's my main game. So we'll see what happens there. But for the now, 2 thumbs up. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.